We mentioned a number of undocumented individuals were both protesting and attending today's hearing, including our next guest, Jose Antonio Vargas. But Jose was not alone. He was joined by a 6-year-old girl, Sophie Cruz, who has become a symbol for this issue after asking Pope Francis to make sure her parents were not deported during his recent visit to Washington. Jose Antonio Vargas is editor of #EmergingUS and founder of DefineAmerican.com. Great to see you, Jose. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
So you actually said that this was one of your proudest moments as an aspiring American today. Explain that.
Well, I have to say, my mother sent me here when I was 12. Can you imagine a mom putting her son on a plane and say, "I'll see you later. A better future, is in the U.S. and not in the Philippines." My mom made a tremendous sacrifice to do that, right? That was almost 23 years ago. So to think that that 12-year-old kid was inside the Supreme Court courtroom today, it still kind of boggles my mind. I have to say, it was probably the greatest honor of my life here in America was being inside that court and hearing the justices really debate this with the kind of intellectual rigor that is missing from the conversation about immigration from Donald Trump and Ted Cruz, for example. And I was seated next to Sophie Cruz the whole time, 6-year-old girl. Both of her parents are undocumented. She's a U.S. citizen. And if this executive action doesn't go through, what's going to happen to her parents? And if they get deported, if the parents get deported, what happens to the 6-year-old girl? It was really interesting, actually, because we were there for like 2 hours. And so she was starting to write the names of the justices on her little notepad. And she said to me, "So how many votes do we need?" And I said, "Well, we don't want it to be a tie. So like a 5,
It can't be a tie.
It can't be a tie.
Yeah, it can't be a tie for your side. I want to ask you, Jose, because you know what the argument is in part on the other side, which is without borders, we don't have a country. And if
I get all absolutely.
And the second piece of it is, what about all of those people who want to come and live in America who have waited, quote, in line, who didn't break the laws and want to do it right? Are they getting the short end if this executive action goes through?
So let's answer both of those points. One, absolutely a country has a right to define and defend its borders, right? I respect that, and I respect it so much that I outed myself as undocumented and said, okay, I'm here, been here since I was 12, what do you want to do with me? Well, Congress hasn't figured out what it wants to do with us. President Obama has deported more than 2.5 million of us. So then what? What do we do? And absolutely, I respect anybody who's waiting in line to come here legally. I would be more than happy to wait in line. You want me to wait 15 years, 20 years to be an American? Absolutely, I'll wait. But there has to be a process. And right now, there's no process.
Fascinating. Jose, thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you for having me.